Welcome to Cherryburn. I'm Ariel Jeweler, Collections and House Officer, and today I'm going to show you behind the scenes. Thomas Bewick, the artist, engraver and naturalist, was born in Cherryburn in 1753, the oldest of 8 children. His family were tenant farmers on this land and also worked in a local coal mine. Thomas lived at Cherryburn until the age of 14, when he was apprenticed to the engraver Ralph Belbay and moved to Newcastle. Thomas continued to walk back to Cherryburn every weekend, 14 miles along the Tyne River, to visit his family until his parents' death in 1785. Thomas was very highly regarded in his own lifetime for his publications and his artworks, and his fame increased in the 19th century with authors and thinkers such as John Ruskin, William Wordsworth, and Charlotte Bronte referencing Bewick in their own works. I just want to give you a short behind-the-scenes glimpse of where we stored Thomas Bewick's original woodblocks. We're privileged at Cherryburn to have around 110 of Thomas's original engraved woodblocks, covering all of his major publications, including the General History of Quadrupeds, the History of British Birds, and Aesop's Fables. They're also held in collections across the world, including the British Library and the Victoria Albert Museum in London. Next, we're going to hear from Norma, who will show us more about the printing process.
My name is Norma and I work here at Cherryburn in the Tyne Valley of Northumberland, and today we'll be working on the Albion press. This press is around about 1835 and it was built by Thomas Long in Edinburgh, and it was mainly for wood block printing. Today we're going to go through the process of the printing, and we're going to start by how to use the paper. Already have a piece of paper already soaking for a few moments in our dish, and then we attach it to the glass sheet. So we're going to drain the water out of the paper first, as you can see what I'm doing here, and then we take the paper over to the blocks. Where we rest it, so this make sure it dries off before we use it, because we like to use our paper damp. So here's one piece that we've got already prepared. First of all, you have to make sure you've got your roller nicely inked. This is your ink table, and it's better that the ink is hissing, because once it stops hissing, the ink is too thin. Keeping a hold of your roller very, very loosely. We'll have a copy block already situated in the chase. You take your roller and you make sure that the whole block is covered. Never pressing down on top of the block. Always replace the roller with the brass end so you don't damage the roller. This is called your frisket, so you gently lay the frisket, making sure it covers the whole of the block. Taking your piece of paper, you lay it gently over the top of the frisket. Taking one finger just to gently press it down. This area is called the tympan, so we're going to lay the tympan over the top of the frisket and take it into the press. This motion is called windlass, so we're taking the windlass into the press bed, and this is called the plating. So I'm just going to pull it over for a moment. Taking the windlass back out, lifting the tin pan, and then we have a picture of the heron.
Next, we're going to hear from Jordan, our gardener, who's going to tell us more about her work here at Cherryburn.
I'm Jordan the gardener, and here at Cherryburn we like to inspire art through nature, and that means planting with nature and wildlife in mind. Every plant I choose that goes into the garden I try to think, is it something Thomas Bewick would have seen on his walk from Newcastle into Cherryburn? As well as it being a plant that Thomas Bewick might have recognised, it's good to make sure that all the plants in the garden are good for the birds, the bees and the insects. Last year we had lots of new work done in the garden and lots of new pathways built. This means that the garden is now completely accessible to all, and that's very important with our message with Thomas Bewick. This garden is for everyone.
We're in the Museum of Cherryburn because I'm really excited to show you some of our books and collections from behind the scenes. We're privileged to display and show a number of works from Thomas Bewick's time as an apprentice, as well as some of his first editions of publications that he's best well known for, including the British Book of Birds. The first book I'd like to show you is Goody Two Shoes, or Fairy Tales by Mother Goose. Two of the prints I'd like to show you, one for Prince Witty, I think is very special. It's a very charming little scene with some figures looking around in classical dress, and it comes with a little story, a fairy tale that the children would enjoy. The second print that Bewick also did involved Eliza and Mira a little bit later in the book. And this is a group scene and interior with lovely dress and detail. You can really see the promise of Thomas Bewick as an artist and engraver in these early works. The depth and shadowing he gets on the figures is really, really special. We're also really privileged at Cherryburn to look after a number of Bewick's early works and first editions of some of his best known works. The next thing I'd like to show you is some first editions from one of his best known works, the British Book of Birds. We've got some first editions from 1797. Again, the detail begins on the very first page with the title piece, with the lovely scene and gravestone. And I'd also like to show you just an example of his detail for nature, birds and imagery, with an example of the mountain sparrow. Thomas was very unusual for the time that he not only did the engravings for the books, but he also wrote and contributed to most of the text. Often these were seen as two very different skills and artist endeavors, but Thomas combined them in both his love for nature and animals. So we have here the mountain sparrow set in a lovely landscape. Thomas's works and animals were never just in isolation. They always had a world which they encompassed, which you can see in the detail of the print. We also have the accompanying woodblock that Thomas engraved by hand. Often some of these works were done in the evening after his daily work in the engraving workshop was complete. So you can imagine the amount of time and detail he spent by candlelight to make so much depth and perspective into a piece of wood so small by candlelight in just his hands. It's really amazing that we were able to have this woodblock in the first edition to tell that story and continue with Thomas Bewick's artistic legacy.
Cherryburn is not only a beautiful site, but it is also of great artistic and historical importance. It is only with the support of our members, supporters and visitors that places like Cherryburn can be enjoyed today, as well as being preserved for everyone forever.